Hey guys, Mrhappy here, and today I just want to finish my low-level video guides. The first 3 dungeons of the game, I've already done 2 of them. I figure I might as well just run through this very last one right now. This is Copperbell Mines. This will be the 3rd dungeon that you'll be doing as part of the main storyline. Now, unlike the previous 2 dungeons, there actually are quite a few mechanics on the way in and not just on the final bosses. So this is actually a pretty interesting dungeon. The first thing that you'll notice is that you have to open doors and go up and down these lifts. This is more of just for scenery. It's not something that's that important. However, I will note that there are a few things that weren't as present in previous dungeons. For example, as you can see right here, there's a patrolling monster that just came in. Patrols will make you have to be aware of when you pull enemies and when it's most opportune for your party. So if your party is having a little bit of trouble with healing or with casting enemies, then you may want to slow it down a little bit and just deal with the patrols. Keep in mind there were patrols in the previous dungeons. There just weren't as many of them. There are only maybe 1 or 2 in each dungeon. So as you can see here, we're going to run over in Copperbell Mines. We're going to grab this chest right here. As a refresher, if you haven't seen my other earlier level dungeons, coffers have a chance at dropping ethereal grade loot, which is alright. It's not as good as the set loot. Now this is the first big thing, is right here this rock is going to bust open and you're going to have to deal with a hecaton share. I have a video about the Gigas if you're interested in why they're just busting out of the walls and what their history is and why they're here and everything. It's just a fun little informational. So we're just running through here, killing the trash. There's some lightning elementals. Now this is the part where I just completely disregard everything I just told you to be aware of patrols, and I just flash spam. I just pick them up, no problem. Dodge a few of the moves, no big deal. So you're definitely gonna want to start dodging frontal moves like this. And if you move back really quickly, you can actually keep the enemy in the same position. So it's not too big of a deal. You guys shouldn't have too much of a problem with it. So here you go. I'm just gonna run up, clear some more trash. So we're gonna be coming up to the first sort of mechanic of the dungeon first, and it's gonna be at the end of this long walkway. There's gonna be a room to your left, and there's going to be a lift with a piece of fire sand on it. Now, fire sand in this dungeon, when you pick it up, it's used to blow up walls to progress further. It's not terribly hard to find the fire sand. I'll note when you have to kill enemies or when you just have to pick it up off the ground. This is the worst camera angle, so I switched it on purpose. I forgot I did things like that. So as you can see, there's fire sand right there on the lift. I'm going to go pick that up right afterwards, grab it, no problem. Run in this room. We're going to kill these enemies, and is there another piece of fire sand in here? I guess we'll find out after we finish killing enemies. Let's see. Let's look around here. Anything missed? No. There's fire sand up here. You got it. Somebody's gonna blow up the wall with the trigger over there. And this is the first boss. Now, I still speed this up because this first boss is a gauntlet of enemies. So as you see, a bunch of Spirgans, or however it's pronounced. I know everything I say I butcher, so it's not that too big of a deal. These Spirgans, you're gonna have to just kill them. They just come in waves. If you're a thaumaturge, by the way, this is an amazing dungeon. Just sit in the middle. Remember the one time when I said don't spam Blizzard 2 in the middle of a bunch of enemies? This is the one time when it's okay to do that. So just walk in, spam Blizzard 2, and you'll be all right. Don't worry. So you're gonna have to deal with these bombs too. None of these enemies have too much health. The bombs will blow up if you don't kill them, and they'll kill anyone who's nearby them. But they're so weak, you guys shouldn't have a problem finishing it. And then after enough mobs spawn, this Gigas will spawn. This Gigas is not too much different from the Gigas that you just fought in the hallway. He does that power-up move, but it's nothing really too big. As you can see here, we just kill him as if he's a normal monster, and the fight is over. Bam. You get some loot, and you move on. You get 1 treasure coffer, and you gotta pick up that key. Sometimes people will run to the door and they don't remember to pick up the key, and then they gotta go back and pick up the key. So next we have these ghosts. Again, we're just more trash, but the trash is changing now. These guys hit a little bit harder. They cast some pretty strong spells, as you can see if you watch my health. I'm gonna apologize now for the terrible UI. This wasn't a character I intended on playing, so not a big deal. There's a call for hiding back there, and now you're just gonna have to take the lift down. Now the next boss is really the first boss that sort of tests you mechanically. It's not too big of a deal, but you should be alright. I don't see anyone really having trouble with this boss fight. As long as you just follow a few easy steps that I'm going to give you, you shouldn't have a problem, so no worries. Just going to clear out this trash. Now, this part actually has an interesting way to get the fire sand. You actually have to run into these 2 side rooms and destroy these blasting caps. They're bombs in each of the rooms. When you destroy the bomb, it'll drop the fire sand onto the ground, and you can pick it up to progress further into the dungeon. You just have to kill off these other enemies in the meantime, and you'll be alright, don't worry. So after we finish this room, I'm going to pick up the fire sand, right? I'm going to let that guy pick up the fire sand. Forget it, you know. And we're going to run in this room and do the same thing. I mark them just in case my party doesn't know that we're supposed to kill them, because they will blow up after some time and drop the fire sand anyway. But you can avoid some deaths just by killing them first. I mean, the amount of damage you take in these dungeons isn't too big a deal. That guy running into that room back there, he actually went and grabbed a treasure coffer, so there is another piece of potential loot back there. Somebody planted the fire sand, I blew it up, and now I'm going to pick up this fire sand, and we're going to progress onto the second boss. Now, the second boss is this big green slime. I don't recommend actually trying to kill the slime. In fact, damage dealers, I recommend you just sit there and watch the tank do his thing. So here's what happens. You have to drag him over to this blasting device, and it's going to spawn a bomb. The tank has to pick up the bomb and keep the bomb and the boss right next to each other. As you can see, Carbuncle decided he had his own plan, so I think something goes terribly wrong here. Is that going to get him? Yes. So when the bomb blows up, he'll actually he'll split up the slimes. And the goal is to split up the slimes until their HP is a small enough amount that you can deal with them effectively. Every time a cap blows up, it breaks each slime that gets hit into two, so you can keep breaking them up. Now, after the first time it breaks and the second time you spawn the blasting cap, there's going to be one ad that spawns off on the side, very, very weak, like the Spirigans from the first boss room, and he's going to attempt to kill the blasting cap, but you shouldn't have too much of a problem with that either. Again, he only takes a couple of hits, and damage dealers don't really have anything to do in this fight until you break the slimes a third time. So we're just waiting for the blasting device to come off cooldown. It came back off cooldown. I'm just going to flash the bomb. The damage dealers are going to deal with the last Spirigan. And once the bomb blows up, they're going to split into 4, 8, yeah. Math is a thing. Don't worry. So there you go. Split. I'm just going to flash them, get the aggro back on them, and we just kill them off at this point. Not too big of a deal. There's not really much more to say about this fight, but this is a fight where sometimes your damage dealers, if they're new to the dungeon, they might not know. I definitely recommend letting them know not to stand near the bombs and to let them know about the ad, because I've seen a lot of damage dealers come into this dungeon and just get decimated by the bomb because they thought they were supposed to hit it or something. I've also had parties kill the bomb because they didn't know that they were supposed to deal with it. So just let your party know that you're going to do it that way and that you're aware of the fight. If you're a tank, if you're a healer, if you're a DPS, just make sure they're aware of how the fight goes. So after that, you'll pick up some fire sand, you'll pick up some loot, and you'll run to the final part of the dungeon. Now, I kill those guys just for fun, usually, just for experience, really, experience points. You run through here, and you can drop down and skip a lot of enemies in this dungeon. However, if you want to get all the treasure coffers, I recommend just hugging the left wall and running around until you get to this treasure coffer. Kill these guys, pick up that treasure coffer, and then you can move on with the dungeon. It is kind of a good rule to follow in this dungeon to always stick to the left wall, because it seems that, at least in this final part of the dungeon, that all the treasure coffers are up against the left-hand sides of the wall. So we grab the treasure coffer, we skip those enemies on the right, and we pull those hipposerfs. Now, we pull them, and this guy busts through the wall. Now, this guy busts through the wall, and you just have to pick him up, not a big deal. He's just like the first one you dealt with. As you can see, I almost lost aggro on him. I think I was aggro on him again, actually. I think I missed, like, a combo or something. Nope, maybe it doesn't happen. I guess it doesn't happen, I don't know. So we run through here, we grab these enemies. Now they're both right on the left, and they're really easy to miss when you're running in, but they'll aggro you as soon as you run past them, so you really can't miss them in the end. You just might have to deal with picking them up. You run behind this rock, grab the treasure coffer, and now we're on to the last boss. Now this last boss is actually a DPS check to some degree. So the boss is like the other Gigas in some way, the other Hecaton shares. He has a big weapon, he swings, he hits really hard, but he does have a few additional moves. He does still have the power-up move, which will make his attacks deal a lot more damage. He does, however, also have a frontal cleave. Now, even though you're the tank, this can one-shot you if you're under-geared, or if he's powered up at the same time. So you'll see it in a few seconds right here after we deal some damage to him. I think after he turns to break this wall, he'll do it. But that's the next mechanic. He is going to turn and break that wall down in a few seconds. Once he starts breaking that wall down, Gigas are going to pour out of that wall. Now, we pull him over to this wall in order to deal with the ads while making sure there isn't much distance to be had with the boss. So that's the move. You're going to want to move out of that as a tank. Your DPS can either rush down the boss or they can stun and deal with the servant. I recommend, if your group, it's your first time in there, your damage dealers haven't done it before, that they kill the servants one by one as they come out, get back on the boss and deal some damage. It's really not too hard, but if the servants manage to break down that boulder wall, then they will immediately go for the rest of your party, and as well as more of them pouring out of that wall as well. So as soon as they break that wall, if they even get to break that wall, you sort of get put on a timer of how quickly you can kill the boss at that point. And as you can see here, my party is very aware of it. They were very keen to the strategy. It seemed like everyone had been in here before. In fact, there is only, it looks like there was 2 people who hadn't been in here before, if I'm looking correctly. But can't really tell. I just told them, kill the ads and we'll be fine. I dragged the boss over here, so there's not really much more to say about this dungeon. Don't get hit by the cleave. It will hurt you, especially if he has his attack power buff. Kill the ads if you're new here. If not, if you have enough gear, you might be able to burn down the boss without having to worry about the ads. So you see, we just used our tier 2 limit break. But other than that, it's a really simple dungeon, and after this dungeon, you'll just have to do a bunch of quests before you get to go fight the level 20 version of Ifrit in the Bowl of Embers. So hopefully you found this video useful. I'll be doing a video on the Bowl of Embers soon for new players, because that's another fight where there's a game wiping mechanic. There's a party wiping mechanic that a lot of people aren't always aware of. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, favorite, subscribe, and share for more Final Fantasy XIV information. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel as well. I have a lot of information that I've compiled over the last few months. Some of it's changed, some of it's more recent, but I think you can find whatever you're looking for right here on this channel. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. You can go there and ask me questions about, you know, opinions or things like that. And overall, I just enjoy answering people's questions. So anyway, guys, duty complete here. Just gonna finish this up real quick. I believe I stop here and wave at the camera. I did it in the other 2 dungeons. I'm pretty sure I did it here as well. Acolyte's half gloves drop, so yeah, I'm positioning myself right here. Apparently, I'm really bad at it. Let's wave goodbye, guys. All right, press the button. There we go. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.